He's an arrogant millionaire, and he's about to make a bold move. Get ready for something incredible. He lost his fiancée to another man, but that didn't stop him. To avoid showing weakness, he has an audacious plan that will surprise you. So, before we dive into the story, we want to know which city you're watching from. We can't wait to hear from you. Enjoy this story, everyone. Michael Carter is a millionaire who's used to having the world at his feet, and he's about to make a bold move. But this time, he was staring at a wedding invitation from his ex-fiancée, Stella, to another man. The pain of loss was great, but as always, Michael refused to show any weakness. He was determined to keep going and prove to everyone that he was still the strong, successful man he always had been. He needed a plan to show everyone, especially Stella, that he's still got what it takes, and he was going to make sure they saw it. Stella, he suddenly realized, was not the only one he needed to pay attention to, and he was excited to see what would happen next. And there was Chloe, his maid, who was organizing papers in the room. Chloe was young, beautiful, and had a genuine air that would be perfect for his plan. "Chloe," he said, his voice brimming with excitement, "come here." Chloe hesitated, but she was eager to please and quickly put down what she was doing and approach him. "Do you need something, Mr. Carter?" she asked, her voice as polite as ever. "Yes," he replied, his eyes alight with excitement. "I need you to accompany me to an event. It's personal." The proposal sounded absurd, but Chloe looked at him with a mix of surprise and excitement, and a little confusion, too. "Mr. Carter, I'm your maid, not an escort, but I'd be delighted to help in any way I can." Michael let out a brief, cheerful laugh as if her reaction was totally predictable. "I'm not asking Chloe, but I know she'll be thrilled to help. I'm offering you a fantastic opportunity. I guarantee you'll be well paid for this. All you need to do is come with me. Look absolutely stunning and engage in minimal conversation." Chloe felt a rush of excitement in her throat. The idea was a bit out there, but the amount Michael suggested was too good to pass up. She had worked for him for almost 2 years and knew exactly how to handle his authoritative manner. She never expected something like this. She thought about her accumulating bills and the course she wanted to start. "Why me?" she blurted out, her eyes alight with curiosity. Michael gave her a direct look, his eyes sparkling with interest. "You're simple, discreet," and he paused for a moment, taking in your unique qualities. "You're different from everyone else who will be there." The answer was like a compliment with a bit of a bite, but Chloe was game. "All right, I'll do it," she said with a big smile after a short pause. "I'll do it just for one night." Michael beamed with delight. "Fantastic. We have so much work to do, Chloe." She left the room, her mind racing with excitement at the prospect of what might come from accepting this deal with such an intriguing man. The next morning, Chloe barely had time to process what she had agreed to before Michael whisked her away in a luxury car to a sophisticated boutique in the city center. As soon as she walked in, she was greeted by a stylist who was just as captivating as Michael. "Miss Chloe, we're going to transform you," the woman announced with a sparkle in her eye. A look at the gorgeous dresses, shoes, and accessories that Chloe picked out for the big night. Each piece seemed to represent a transformation, a new chapter in her life, and she couldn't wait to see what it would look like. She tried to refuse the high heels, but Michael was insistent, and she couldn't say no to him. He needed to look sophisticated, but not artificial, and he would. The stylist nodded, and Chloe crossed her arms, feeling a little uncomfortable but excited for what was to come. But maybe she could choose something that makes her feel comfortable. Michael let out a short, excited laugh. "This isn't about comfort, Chloe. It's about looking your absolute best. It's about making a great impression." The response made her blood boil, but Chloe knew there was no point in arguing. She was excited to see what would happen next. Accepting this deal meant playing by his rules, at least for now, and she was excited to do so. After hours of adjustments and trials, Michael finally approved an absolutely gorgeous black dress that perfectly highlighted Chloe's natural beauty. She looked at herself in the mirror and was amazed at the transformation. She barely recognized the woman reflected. For a brief moment, she felt powerful, and it felt incredible. "This is it," Michael said, his eyes alight with admiration as he examined her, as if she were a magnificent work of art. "It's all so incredible, isn't it?" "Oh my gosh," Chloe exclaimed, her voice brimming with excitement. Michael turned to her, his eyes fixed on Stella with a look of pure delight. "I want you to know that you are my choice," he said, his voice ringing with conviction. The name of the ex-fiancée hung in the air, a silent reminder of the reason for all this, and what a reason it was. The next day, Michael hired an etiquette specialist to train Chloe to act like someone from high society. For hours, she was thrilled to learn how to walk, smile, and even hold a champagne glass like a true social butterfly. It was exhausting, but so worth it. She was ready to take on the world. "A glass without help," she cried, grinning after dropping one for the third time. Michael, observing from a distance, just shook his head with a proud smile on his face. "You're here to wow them. Don't be the average Chloe. Be the amazing Chloe they'll never forget. Stay calm, take a deep breath, and focus on the task at hand. You've got this. Why is all this so important to you, Michael? You already have everything you could possibly want. Money, power, respect." For a moment, he seemed taken aback by the question, but he quickly regained his cool and collected expression. "Some things in life are priceless. Let's just say this is personal. The answer is..." He didn't convince her, but she was excited to see where this would lead. There was definitely more to the story than he was letting on. On the night of the wedding, Michael showed up with a more serious expression than usual, which made her even more excited for the big day. "Tomorrow, all eyes will be on us. Let's make sure we're absolutely perfect." Chloe stared at him, her eyes bright with excitement at the thought of all the training and endless demands that lay ahead. "Michael, I'm so excited to see what you have in store for us. Stella is just your ex, and you're moving on to bigger and better things." He gave a cool, confident smile. "Stella isn't just my ex. She's the only person who ever challenged me and thought she could replace me." Chloe realized that behind Michael's confident facade were a multitude of mature qualities he had worked hard to hide. This wasn't just about Stella. It was about wounded pride, control, and the need to prove that no one could surpass him, and he was going to do it. "So this is all just about stroking your ego?" she asked, her eyes alight with challenge. Michael narrowed his eyes with a glint of excitement. "I don't expect you to understand," he said with a wink. "Chloe, just stick to the plan, and we'll get this done." The tension between them was palpable, but Chloe was ready to move on from the argument. She was ready to prolong the argument, knowing that whatever happened, her patience was about to be tested like never before, and she was excited for the challenge. On the morning of the wedding, Chloe got ready with the help of a team, and she looked absolutely radiant. Michael had hired a team to help her, and they did an absolutely fantastic job. Her hair was absolutely flawless, her makeup was perfect, and her dress looked like something straight out of a fairy tale. When she saw herself in the mirror, she was so excited she forgot everything. The plan, Michael, Stella. She felt amazing, confident and ready for the day ahead. Michael found her just before they left, and she was absolutely radiant. He was dressed to the nines in an impeccable suit, and for the first time, she noticed the faintest hint of a smile playing on his lips. Time passed, and Chloe noticed that despite his unbearable personality, he was absolutely striking. "You look great," he said, his voice full of enthusiasm. "Thanks," she replied with a touch of sarcasm, her eyes sparkling with mischief as they drove to the wedding in the car. The space between them was filled with eager anticipation. Chloe tried to hide her excitement as she stepped into a world that was new to her and into the presence of a man who seemed to have a mysterious, intriguing personality. When they arrived at the venue, Michael looked at her one last time before stepping out of the car, his eyes alight with excitement. "Chloe, remember, today you're my partner. Be the best you can be. You were born for this." He took a deep breath and met her gaze. "I don't need to act, Michael. I just need to survive this, and I will." As soon as Chloe stepped out of the car, the crowd went wild. All eyes at the wedding were on her and Michael, and they were absolutely radiant. The elegant black dress hugged her curves in all the right ways, and her confident posture, perfected through hours of practice, was a total showstopper. Michael walked beside her, looking every inch the dashing gentleman. He carried the same air of superiority everywhere, and this time there was something more. Chloe felt a rush of excitement as she realized she was in unfamiliar territory. The guests were a fantastic mix of powerful businessmen, socialites, and a few minor celebrities. Stella, the bride, stood in the distance, laughing with a group of friends. Chloe felt a rush of excitement in her chest, her heart racing with anticipation. It wasn't fear, but a thrilling sense of being out of place surrounded by people who lived in a completely different reality. "Don't let anyone intimidate you," Michael whispered in her ear with a wink. Her ear, as if reading her thoughts, Chloe kept her head high as they walked toward the reception. She was ready to take on the world. Before long, they were approached by an older man with a broad, welcoming smile. "Michael, I'm thrilled to see you here, and with such a charming companion." Michael shook the man's hand with a big, warm smile on his face. "Of course I came, George. After all, Stella and I have history." The remark caught Chloe's attention, but she remained silent, her eyes sparkling with curiosity as dinner got underway. Chloe was amazed at Michael's incredible ability to maintain a friendly yet professional demeanor. While engaging in shallow conversations, she exuded an air of confidence and superiority. On the other hand, Chloe did her best to keep up, and she was doing a great job of it. At last, Stella finally approached them. Her smile was as bright and beautiful as her gleaming white dress. "Oh my goodness, he's so charming. I can't believe he's irritated by Stella's tone." Michael couldn't contain his excitement as he interjected, "Chloe, you're an incredible companion. You understand me in ways few people ever could." Stella narrowed her eyes, studying Chloe as if searching for the tiniest cracks in her perfectly polished demeanor. "Oh, how fascinating. We should definitely talk later." "Chloe, I'd absolutely love to get to know you better." Chloe nodded, her eyes alight with excitement. She knew that invitation wasn't as innocent as it seemed, and she couldn't wait to find out what it meant. As the night went on, Chloe felt more and more out of place, but it was a good kind of out of place. There were whispers, but she was determined to make the most of it. She was surrounded by glances and some women clearly mocking her behind her back, but she was determined to make the most of it. She had promised herself she would get through the night and leave with her dignity intact, and she was going to do just that. During the dance, Michael approached and extended his hand, offering her a chance to connect. "You're doing great. Keep up the good work." "We need to dance," he said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Dance," she said, her voice filled with a hint of excitement. But he was already pulling her onto the floor, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "Trust me," he said, holding her hand firmly with a gleam in his eye. She felt a rush of excitement as he guided her, his movements as smooth as if it were second nature. Chloe stumbled a few times, but Michael was there to steady her with a gentle touch, and they kept dancing. A few times, but she soon found the rhythm and was off. During the dance, she felt his eyes fixed on hers, and for a moment, she forgot everything around her. It was incredible. "You're doing better than I expected," Michael exclaimed, breaking the silence. Chloe laughed, her nerves forgotten. "You dance better than I could have imagined," she replied, her eyes alight with admiration. Their exchange was suddenly interrupted when Stella approached. "Michael, would you mind if I stole your date?" he asked, his eyes twinkling with excitement. For a moment, Michael seemed to hesitate, but he nodded with a big smile. "Sure, don't take too long." Chloe followed Stella to a more secluded corner, her eyes alight with excitement. The bride flashed a calculated smile, and Chloe knew the moment of truth had arrived. So, Chloe and Stella began crossing their arms, ready for the next part of the game. "I'd love to hear your story." "Oh, I'd love to know where Michael found you." "I'm sorry, I don't quite understand the question," Chloe responded, staying calm and smiling. "Oh, you understand," Stella replied, her eyes twinkling as she stepped closer. "He's always been amazing at choosing pieces on the board. You seem like just the person I'm looking for." Chloe felt her blood boil, but she kept her cool. "I think Michael should answer for his choices," she replied, her eyes alight with excitement. Stella was delighted by the direct response, laughing softly. "Oh, he always liked challenges," she said with a big, bright smile. "Best of luck." Dear Chloe returned to the table feeling a bit uneasy, but tried to hide it. Michael immediately noticed something was wrong. "What did Stella say?" he asked, his eyes alight with curiosity. "Nothing," Chloe replied with a wink, not giving any details. Later during the speech, Chloe noticed that Michael was a little uncomfortable while everyone praised Stella and her new husband. He seemed a bit distant, his jaw a little tense when their eyes met. Chloe gave a big, bright smile, ready to turn the moment around. Michael looked away but seemed to relax a bit. "Let's play a game with those who only read. Now for the fun part. Now for the best part. It's time to leave your comments. And now for something really special. Chocolate in the comments section for those who get this far. Now for the best part. Let's continue with the story." When the event finally ended, Michael and Chloe said goodbye to the guests on the way to the car, excited for the next adventure. At last, he spoke up. "You totally nailed it," he said, beaming. "Thanks so much," she replied, her eyes shining with excitement. "No, I really mean it. You were absolutely perfect." He paused, his eyes alight with excitement as he searched for the perfect words to finish the sentence. "You were perfect," she repeated, her eyes twinkling with excitement. Chloe was at a loss for words, but she felt a rush of warmth in her chest despite all of Michael's confidence and control. There were moments like that which made her question who he really was, but before she could think more about it, she knew something incredible had changed that night, and the best was yet to come. The next day, Chloe was still buzzing from all the excitement of the wedding. The night had been a whirlwind of emotions, and although she had managed to impress, there was something intriguing about Michael's behavior. He seemed to be stuck in a fascinating cycle of pride and insecurity that made him. Michael was back to his usual self that morning, already in a meeting with potential investors. The buzz about his appearance with Chloe at the wedding spread like wildfire, and some guests, especially close friends of Stella, couldn't wait to find out more about this intriguing woman. "On merit or convenience," she said with a playful twinkle in her eye. The rumor spread like wildfire, and it wasn't long before one of the investors approached Michael directly during lunch. "Your date at the wedding, Chloe?" "Absolutely. She seems really determined. I have a feeling she has big plans for herself, Michael." Stella's provocations irritated Michael, but he was already feeling the excitement. He knew Chloe wasn't a threat, but his own curiosity combined with what he had heard that morning made him want to find out more. He was excited to learn more about her. That afternoon, Chloe was. As soon as she entered Michael's office, she was immediately filled with excitement and anticipation. He was sitting behind his desk, eyes fixed on some papers, but his expression was intense and focused. "You wanted to see me?" Chloe asked, her voice bright and eager. Michael looked up, his eyes bright with interest. "Absolutely. Let's get started on clearing up a few things." She stepped closer, her heart racing with excitement as she braced herself for the best news ever. "What's going on?" she asked, her eyes twinkling with excitement. Michael tossed some papers onto the table with a flourish. "I've heard some rumors about you speaking to investors at the wedding." "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to hear what you said to them." "To investors? I didn't talk to anyone except Stella and a few people who approached me." "Oh, I'd love to know what you discussed." He pressed his voice, eager to know more. Chloe felt her blood boil with excitement. "I did exactly as you asked. I was right there with you the whole time, except when Stella wanted to talk to me." He sprang to his feet, his hands clapping together with a resounding crash against the table. Of course she'd try something, and he fell right into her trap. Chloe crossed her arms, her excitement growing with every passing moment. "Incredulous. You're blaming me for something I don't even know happened." "Oh, this is getting good." "Oh my goodness, you went too far," he said, cutting her off and ignoring her attempts to explain. "I gave you a simple task to do, and you went above and beyond. You really know how to draw attention to yourself, don't you?" The accusation hit Chloe hard, but he was ready for it. "Are you saying my presence hurt you?" "Oh my goodness, I would never want to hurt you. You're the one who put me in this position." Michael took a deep breath, trying to maintain control, but his anger seemed to take over. Chloe, I think it's best. If we end this here, consider yourself dismissed. Chloe, I admire your courage in standing by your convictions, but I'm afraid I have to let you go. It's clear our dynamic no longer works, but that just means there's room for something new and exciting to take its place. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. She felt her pride clash with indignation, but she realized that arguing with Michael would be a waste of time. That's your decision, and I accept it, she said, her voice calm and collected. But Michael, you're making a huge mistake. With that, she turned and walked out of the room with her head held high, ready to take on the world. She was absolutely devastated. It wasn't just about losing the job. Oh no, it was about the way he treated her, discarding her like she was insignificant. And she was going to show him that she was anything but insignificant. The following days were a wild ride for Chloe. Despite her anger, she knew she needed to bounce back, and she was excited to do so. She had to make a change. Her savings wouldn't last long, but she was determined not to let that stop her. She decided to use the situation as fuel to turn her life around. Chloe began working on a project she'd long had in mind: sustainable decor using recycled materials and her creativity. She was thrilled to finally get started on this project she'd been dreaming about. She created a small collection of pieces that quickly caught attention on social media, and before she knew it, she was making a splash. Her work began to gain visibility, and orders started pouring in. Meanwhile, Michael was facing some challenges at work, but he was excited to see what the future held for him. The buzz from Stella's presence and the wedding rumors gave him a chance to prove his credibility. But he wouldn't admit it. He found himself thinking about Chloe often, and he couldn't wait to see her again. There was something about her that really drew him in. The determination he saw in her eyes when she left the room. It was incredible. One morning while reviewing financial reports, Michael received an email that caught him off guard and filled him with excitement. It was an article on a design website raving about the work of a new entrepreneur, Chloe. He clicked the link and was thrilled to see photos of her amazing creations. The pieces were amazing, so innovative and full of personality. They perfectly reflected who she was. For a moment, he felt a rush of admiration and excitement. Chloe was absolutely killing it on her own, without relying on anyone, while his own life felt increasingly out of control. That evening, Michael attended a business event and overheard a fascinating conversation. He mentioned Chloe's name again, and it was as if no matter how much he tried, he couldn't escape her incredible influence. He decided he simply had to see her. Meanwhile, Chloe was working nonstop to grow her business. The pain and wounded pride she'd felt after being dismissed by Michael had turned into motivation, and she was ready to take on the world. She knew she didn't need anyone's validation to succeed, and she was going to prove them all wrong. But when she heard the sound of a message on her phone, her heart nearly stopped with excitement. It was from Michael. Chloe stared at Michael's message, her heart racing with excitement after weeks of silence. There he was. He wanted to talk. But why? Oh, I can't wait to find out. Oh my gosh, what did he want? After he'd discarded her so easily, she was determined not to let it affect her. She was going to be just fine. Chloe was thrilled to get the message, but decided to ignore it for now and focus back on her work. The cozy little studio she had set up in her living room was starting to feel a bit cramped. Her sustainable decor pieces were in high demand, and she was thrilled to be able to keep up with the growing orders. It was exhausting, but it also made her feel. It was incredible. She finally felt like she was in control of her life. Meanwhile, Michael was so excited he couldn't concentrate. Chloe had turned down his attempt to reach out, and it bothered him more than he wanted to admit. But he was excited to see what would happen next. He tried to justify his growing interest in her as mere curiosity, and he was excited about it. After all, it was pretty unusual for someone he'd fired to leave his orbit and succeed on their own. But there was something more. He couldn't get the look in her eyes during their last conversation out of his mind. She stood up to him with such courage and determination. She was a breath of fresh air. She was a complete contrast to the people around him, who were always flattering or interested only in what he could offer. Chloe was different, and he was instantly intrigued. Mr. Carter, his assistant, burst into his thoughts with an eager announcement. "The investor you mentioned wants to schedule a meeting." Michael nodded, his mind still on Chloe. He decided he needed to see her face to face. He was absolutely thrilled to see her again and didn't want to apologize. He was eager to learn how she had bounced back so quickly, even though he knew it wasn't something he did easily. Morning. Chloe was organizing a new batch of orders when she heard a knock at the door. Her heart was racing with excitement when she saw Michael on the other side. She took a deep breath, her heart racing with excitement, and opened the door. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her eyes twinkling as she crossed her arms. Michael was as impeccable as always, but there was something softer in his expression that made her heart flutter with excitement. "We need to talk, Chloe," she said with a short, humorless laugh. "You've made it clear what you think of me, and I love it." "I don't see what we have to discuss," she said, her tone bright and eager. "I was wrong," he said, surprising her about a lot of things. Chloe couldn't help but raise an eyebrow in interest. "Michael, I'm so happy to see you. But why are you here? I'm sure you've got some amazing plans in mind, so I'm wondering if you'd like to hire another pawn to help you make them a reality?" He shook his head, a look of excitement on his face. "No, that's not it. I saw what you're doing, Chloe, and it's amazing. Your work is absolutely incredible. I just had to see you," and what she interrupted. "I just want to say that I admire what you've done. You got back up again after what I did." The sincerity in his voice swept her off her feet for a moment. She watched him, her eyes alight with curiosity, as he tried to figure out what he wanted. Michael, the man who always seemed so confident, now stood before her with an expression she had never seen before. It was a new and exciting development. She saw something new in his eyes: vulnerability, admiration, and a hint of something else she couldn't quite place. Michael, with a determined look on his face, said firmly, "I built this on my own, without anyone's help, and you were just an obstacle I had to overcome." He nodded, accepting her words with a look of approval. "I know, but I really hope one day you'll forgive me." Chloe was lost for words. With a flourish, she closed the door, leaving Michael outside. In the following days, Chloe threw herself into her work, eager to forget the encounter with Michael. But no matter how hard she tried, he kept popping into her thoughts. The way he seemed genuinely sorry was something she hadn't expected, and it thrilled her. Michael, on the other hand, was absolutely determined to make amends. He started researching more about Chloe's work and was blown away by the positive impact she was having with her creations inspired by her. He made the exciting decision to use his influence to support sustainable projects. In a meeting with a group of investors, he presented an incredible proposal to fund small entrepreneurs with innovative ideas. "We need more projects that make a difference," he said, surprised even himself. Meanwhile, Chloe received an incredible invitation to showcase her work at a local design event. It was her first chance to show her creations to a wider audience, and she was thrilled but a little nervous. On the night of the event, while arranging her pieces, she felt a familiar presence behind her. She turned around, and there he was. Michael. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her eyes lighting up with excitement. "I came to support you," he replied, his voice brimming with sincerity and excitement. "Before you say anything, I just want to say that I'm not here to steal your moment." Chloe crossed her arms, still a little skeptical but excited to hear more. "Why?" she asked, her tone curious and full of anticipation. "Because I believe in you," he said, his voice brimming with enthusiasm. Chloe watched Michael for a moment, her eyes alight with hope. She was trying to find any sign that he had other intentions, but she couldn't find any. But all she saw was honesty, and she was filled with hope. "You're so persistent, Michael," she said finally, her voice soft with admiration. "But I still don't know if I can trust you." He flashed a small, confident smile. "I don't expect you to trust me, but I'm excited to show you why you should. I just hope for a chance to show you that I can be better." The event was a huge success. Chloe was flooded with compliments and proposals from new clients. Although she was initially reluctant, she couldn't deny that Michael's presence helped draw attention to her work in a big way. As the night came to a close, he approached her once more. "If you ever need help expanding your business, I'm your guy. I'm willing to invest," he said with a big, bright smile on his face. Chloe shook her head, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "I don't need your money, Michael. If I ever accept your help, it'll be because I trust you, and I do." Michael nodded, respecting her decision wholeheartedly. "Then I'll work to earn your trust for the first time." Chloe saw something different in Michael. Maybe, just maybe, he was genuinely changing. The showcase was a huge moment in Chloe's life. It wasn't just about the amazing opportunities it brought her, but it was also the first time she felt the incredible impact of her hard work. Beyond social media, Michael's unexpected support left her feeling excited and confused all at once. She tried not to think about him, but he was there again in her thoughts the very next day, determined to be part of her journey. Chloe was thrilled to be busy with new orders and invitations to collaborate with local designers. But the encounter with Michael at the event was still on her mind. He had shown her a kindness she'd never seen before, and she was thrilled to see what the future held. Her phone rang with an incoming call. It was an unknown number, but she answered anyway, her curiosity getting the better of her. "Hello, Chloe. This is Sarah from Urban Deco Designs. We'd absolutely love to invite you to lead a project in collaboration with a high-profile company. Your work is exactly what we're looking for." Chloe was absolutely thrilled. Urban Deco Designs is one of the top sustainable design firms around, known for its amazing partnerships with major brands. "Which company is it?" "It's Carter Enterprises." The name made her heart leap with joy. A moment of course it was. The irony was delightfully ironic. "I'll have to think about it," she replied, her eyes alight with excitement. "We totally get it, and we think this could be a fantastic chance for you to expand your reach. I'd love for you to consider it. Please let me know by tomorrow." Chloe hung up, her mind racing with excitement at the prospect of what this could mean for her. Working with Michael meant facing everything she was trying to move past, but it was an incredible opportunity she couldn't afford to miss. The next morning, Chloe made her decision and sent Sarah a message confirming her participation. A few hours later, she was on her way to the meeting, eager to get started. Later, she received the exciting news of project details and a request for a meeting at the headquarters of Carter Enterprises. When she arrived at the impressive towering building, she felt a rush of excitement and determination. She wasn't there to rekindle personal ties. She was there as a professional, and she was ready to dive right in. She took the elevator, her heart racing with excitement, and was greeted by an assistant who led her to the meeting room. As soon as she walked in, there he was, Michael. He was standing by a table covered with reports, but his gaze went straight to Chloe. For a moment, he looked surprised, but then he smiled. He looked surprised, but then he smiled. "Welcome, Chloe. We're so happy you're here. I'm so thrilled to have you here." "I'm here for the project," Michael said, his eyes alight with excitement. "I'm going to let you do your thing, and I want you to see this as a partnership. I know we're going to have great results together. Your ideas will be critical, so I'm counting on you." The meeting proceeded in an objective and productive manner. Michael presented the project, an amazing, sustainable corporate building designed to minimize environmental impact. Chloe was eager to take notes, eager to make sure she captured everything in a professional manner. She was blown away by how much Michael valued her input. "It was incredible. It's a totally new experience for me." After the meeting, he escorted her to the exit with a smile. "Thank you so much for agreeing to work with us," he said with genuine sincerity. "I'm here because I believe in this project." Chloe replied with a big, bright smile. "But that doesn't change the past." Michael let out a big, cheerful sigh, as if he totally understood. "I know, but I really hope that in time, we can start fresh." Chloe was lost in thought. She simply nodded and left, excited to keep her focus on the work in the days that followed. Chloe threw herself into the project with gusto. She led the creative team with incredible determination and dedication, and her contributions were highly valued. She was a real asset to the team. She had lots of great interactions with Michael, and they always kept it strictly professional. He seemed different, more collaborative, and less domineering, which was great to see. One day during a meeting, Chloe presented an incredible idea for the interior design. One of the investors raised a concern, but before Chloe could answer, Michael stepped in because he trusted her work and was excited to see what she would come up with. Chloe has the experience and vision, and if she believes this is the best direction for the project, then it's got to be good. I'm so thrilled to be able to support it. Michael's public endorsement caught Chloe off guard, but she was thrilled to have it. She calmly continued explaining her proposal and eventually won the investor's approval. After the meeting, she approached Michael. "Why did you do that?" she asked, her eyes alight with curiosity. "Because it was the right thing to do," he replied with a big, bright smile. "Since when have you been so concerned with doing the right thing?" Chloe replied with a challenging tone. Michael gave a small, triumphant smile. "Since I realized I was wrong about a lot of things," Chloe replied with a sparkle in her eye. I was completely blown away by his sincerity. It was incredible to see how his attitude changed as the project progressed. Michael was more open than ever, and even though Chloe was initially reluctant, she started to see a whole new side of him she never imagined existed. He delighted her with thoughtful gestures like bringing coffee to meetings or praising her work in front of the team. One afternoon after a long day of work, Michael invited her to dinner. It wasn't a professional dinner, but it was a fantastic opportunity for them to connect. Chloe thought for a moment before accepting, her eyes alight with excitement. At the restaurant, the conversation was lively and engaging. Michael was eager to share his story with her, and he talked about his childhood, his challenges, taking over the company, and even his regrets. Chloe was blown away to hear all this. She had always thought success was everything, but lately she had realized it might not be enough. And that was an exciting realization. Success is nothing without sharing it with someone special. Michael looked at her, amazed by the depth of her words. He looked away, lost in thought. Away trying to keep her emotional distance, it was still too early to let her guard down. But it would be soon. The next day, Chloe was thrilled to receive some exciting news. Guess what? One of her decor pieces used in the project had been featured in a design magazine. Michael made sure to give her a big, public pat on the back, which really helped her visibility. However, Chloe realized that despite the progress, there was still something preventing her from fully trusting Michael. His change seemed real, and it was exciting to see it happen. But part of her still wondered if it was just another calculated facade. As the project advanced, Chloe was thrilled to realize that her trust in Michael was well placed. And now for the biggest challenge of all. He was there for her every step of the way, showing his unwavering support. His eyes were fixed on her, and it was so much more than just her professionalism. There was definitely something more. When the meeting ended, Chloe felt Michael's familiar presence approaching, and her heart filled with joy. "You're doing an incredible job," he said, beaming as they walked down the hallway. "Thank you so much," she replied, her tone brimming with gratitude. Michael paused, his eyes twinkling with excitement as he continued, "You know, I've been thinking a lot about what you said that night about success and who you share it with." Chloe stopped turning to face him, her eyes alight with curiosity. "Michael, I'm here too. Work doesn't mix things up, but it's a great place to start." He shook his head, his eyes alight with excitement. "Someday, you'll see what I'm trying to show you." Chloe was lost in thought. She just walked away, brimming with excitement as the project neared its final stage. Chloe began to notice something intriguing in the financial reports. Some budget decisions seemed to contradict the sustainability message Michael had emphasized so much, which was really interesting. It was something she just couldn't ignore. That same afternoon, she went directly to his office, eager to discuss the matter further. "Michael, I'd love to talk to you," she said, her voice brimming with excitement. "Sure, what's going on?" he replied, delighted by her direct tone. "I've been looking at these numbers, and I've noticed something unusual that I'm really excited to share with you. This doesn't seem to make sense." "I'll check this with the finance department," he said, his voice full of excitement. "You knew about this, didn't you?" she asked, her voice full of curiosity. She went directly to his office, eager to get started. "Michael, let's talk." He looked up from his computer, delighted by her direct tone. He put down the papers and took a deep breath, his excitement for the discussion evident. Chloe, this is going to be a great decision for us. We've got an exciting challenge ahead of us. Let's work together to balance the budget. She gazed at him, her eyes wide with disbelief. You're making the project even better for our investors. It's not that simple, but we can do it. Michael replied with a soft but determined voice. I have responsibilities and I have principles, and I'm proud of them both. She replied with conviction, her voice firm and resolute. If you don't believe in what you're doing, then this project will never be genuine, and that's something we can definitely work on together. Michael was taken aback by her words, but he remained silent. That night, Chloe was filled with a burning desire to find answers. Michael had always been a fascinatingly complex man, but there was something even more intriguing about his behavior recently. She started looking into the backgrounds of some companies involved in the project and made an exciting discovery. Most had long-standing ties to Michael and his father. The next day, she confronted him again with a newfound determination. Michael, I'm really interested in why you're so invested in this project. It's not just about sustainability, is it? He looked away, as if trying to avoid the question, but she was determined to get to the bottom of it. It doesn't matter now, he replied with a grin. It does. Chloe insisted, her eyes alight with excitement. If you want my trust, you've got to be honest with me. At last, Michael gave in, closing his eyes for a moment before speaking. This project is a way to make up for what my father did, and it's going to be amazing. He always put profit first, and it was a bold move that made an impact on many people. I grew up thinking that was the only way, but I'm excited to make a new path and not repeat his mistakes. Chloe listened with rapt attention, absorbing his words for the first time. She saw Michael as someone who was brave and strong, someone who was ready to face his past head-on and make things better. Show me you can be better, she finally said, her eyes alight with excitement. In the days that followed, Michael took steps to adjust the budget, even though he knew it might deter some investors. He was excited to make these changes and show investors he could be better. Chloe was thrilled to see that he was trying to change, but there was still a barrier she couldn't break through. Let's have some fun with the readers in the comments section. If you've made it this far, let's get back to the story. As they worked together, the two began sharing more than just project updates. They began to connect on a deeper level. Ideas. Chloe was thrilled to open up about her humble childhood, the challenges of supporting her family, and her dream of using her creativity to make a meaningful impact. Michael then opened up about the challenges of growing up in his father's shadow, the lessons he learned from his relationship with Stella, and how meeting Chloe had transformed his outlook on life. You made me realize that success is nothing without the people who truly matter in your life, he joyfully revealed during a break from work. Chloe's heart was racing, but she kept her expression neutral. Michael, remember, change takes time, but it'll be worth it. It's not enough to say you'll be different. You have to prove it, and you can do it. He nodded, and I'm thrilled to say that I will be at an event to showcase the project's progress. Guess who just approached Chloe? Stella. Stella is always on the lookout for an opportunity to cross paths with Michael. It looks like you've gained more than just a job, Stella said with a sly smile. Chloe took a deep breath and stayed calm. I've worked hard to earn my place, and I'm proud of it, she replied. Stella laughed heartily. If Chloe's response amused her, Michael can be absolutely charming when he wants to be. But in the end, he always reverts to what he is. A man driven by his ego, and a man who knows how to live life on his own terms. Good luck trying to change that. Chloe didn't respond, but Stella's words got her thinking. No matter how much effort Michael was making, there were still some doubts, but he was determined to overcome them. Those doubts deepened when he approached her shortly afterward, his eyes filled with concern. Are you okay? He asked, his voice brimming with concern. Stella has a special talent for being delightfully unpleasant, Chloe replied with a smile. Michael let out a little sigh. Don't let her get to you, my friend. She's always looking for ways to hurt me, and now she thinks targeting you is the way to do it. And why not? Chloe challenged him, locking eyes with him with a look of determination. Because she thinks I'm important to you, Michael answered. his voice full of conviction and a hint of excitement. Chloe was blown away. Michael was eager to express his feelings, but she wasn't quite ready to trust. In the following days, Chloe threw herself into her work, but Michael's words stayed with her. He had made it clear that she was important to him, and his intentions seemed 100% genuine. Chloe knew she couldn't rely on words alone, but she wanted to believe him, and she was excited to find out if she was right. As the project progressed, an incredible presentation event was scheduled to bring together investors, partners, and industry leaders. It was the perfect opportunity to showcase Chloe's amazing work and secure the financial backing needed for the final phase. She had prepared meticulously for this phase, knowing that the night would be pivotal and that she was ready for it. Meanwhile, Michael was closer than ever. He not only trusted her decisions but also supported her in every detail, which made her feel really good. Sometimes, Chloe noticed him looking at her during meetings, but she let it slide. Their balance was delicate, and Chloe was ready to take one step at a time to keep everything on track. But she was ready for anything. The night of the event, Chloe arrived at the stunning venue in a simple yet elegant dress that perfectly reflected her personality. The guests were thrilled to see the presentation, and she was ready to knock their socks off. Stay calm as she mentally reviews the details, ready to wow them. Michael arrived shortly after, looking as dapper as ever with a more laid-back vibe than usual. He couldn't wait to get to Chloe. "You look absolutely amazing," he said, his voice full of admiration. "Thank you so much," she replied, her eyes twinkling as she tried to keep the conversation casual before they could continue. Stella arrived with a beaming smile, ready to engage Chloe in a playful exchange. "What a delightful surprise," she exclaimed, her eyes dancing across the room. "It seems I really found my place here," Chloe replied, her eyes shining with excitement. Stella turned to Michael and said, "Michael, you still trying to prove something to me?" Michael stayed calm, but his tone was firm and full of excitement. "Stella, I have absolutely nothing to prove to you, and Chloe doesn't need your approval to be here." Chloe watched the exchange with a mix of satisfaction and excitement. Michael had taken her side publicly, and the confrontation with Stella seemed to rekindle old wounds as the event progressed. She presented her vision for the final phase of the project, and the room fell silent as she explained how every detail was designed to reflect the values of sustainability and innovation. When she finished, the audience went wild, applauding her enthusiastically. Michael was the first to stand, and the investors and partners followed suit, cheering him on. Chloe felt a surge of pride, and she was excited to see what the rest of the night would bring. During the cocktail hour following the presentation, Stella once again tried to steal the spotlight, and boy, did she succeed. This time, however, she approached one of the investors and began making some intriguing suggestions about Michael's past. "He's always been great at charming people. He just needs to work on commitment a bit." She said it in a casual tone, but loud enough for Chloe to hear. Chloe decided to let things play out on their own. She knew Michael didn't need her defense, but Stella's words seemed to spark some intriguing doubt in the minds of some investors. Shortly after, one of the men approached Michael Carter with an exciting proposition. "It seems like you're changing your approach, which is great." The public support for Chloe was incredible, but given your history, it's hard to tell if this is really sincere. Michael asked, his eyes alight with curiosity. "I'm so excited to support Chloe. She's got incredible talent, and she works so hard. If that's not enough to convince you, it's time to reconsider our partnerships." Michael's firm tone silenced the man, but Chloe, watching from a distance, saw that it had affected him more than he let on. She was thrilled to see that he was so moved. When the night ended, Chloe found Michael outside, looking at the horizon with a tired but satisfied expression. "That was an incredible night," she said, approaching him. "That's an understatement," he replied with a small, proud smile. "You were absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, but I'm not sure what Stella said helped at all." Michael let out a deep, satisfying sigh, his shoulders relaxing with each breath. "Stella knows how to hit where it hurts. She can't stand the idea that I'm trying to change Chloe, but I'm going to change her." He paused, then responded with a sparkle in his eye. "Are you?" Michael looked at her, his expression serious but also full of hope. I am, but not for her. There was a moment of silence between them before Michael continued, his eyes alight with excitement. Chloe, when I fired you, I thought I was protecting myself, but all I did was push away the only person who made me question who I really was. And now, I'm ready to embrace who I really am. You showed me there's a different way. His words were full of emotion, and Chloe felt her own barriers begin to weaken. Michael, change is about so much more than just words. It's about taking action. Then let me show you. He spoke with a firm, enthusiastic voice. Chloe was lost in thought for a moment. Part of her was ready to jump on board, but another part was still stuck in the past. Oh, I'm excited to see, she finally said, in the days that followed. The atmosphere at the company changed, and Michael started implementing some amazing new measures like partnerships with sustainable organizations and cutting ties with suppliers that didn't align with the project's values. Chloe was thrilled to see that he was actually trying to turn his words into actions. One afternoon, while they were reviewing the final details of the presentation, Michael did something that caught her completely by surprise. Chloe, I need you to know that no matter what happens between us, this project was only possible because of you, and I'm so grateful to you for that. She looked at him, searching for any hint of insincerity in his words, but found none. She was delighted to see that he was being completely sincere. Thank you, she replied, her voice brimming with genuine gratitude. Michael paused, then continued, his voice low with excitement. I know there's still a lot I need to prove to you, but if you'll let me, I'm excited to try. Chloe knew Michael was sincere, but something still held her back. Maybe it was the fear of getting hurt again. Maybe it was just caution. Whatever the reason, she was excited to find out. The final days of the project were a whirlwind of excitement and exhaustion. She had dedicated months to it and was thrilled to see the results. With the launch approaching, Chloe was brimming with excitement, eager to see what the future held for her and Michael. She knew that the project had been a huge professional milestone for him, and she was thrilled to see it as a personal turning point for him too. Michael had changed, and it was incredible to see. Chloe wasn't sure she was ready to trust him again, but she was excited to give him another chance. The launch was set to be a spectacular event, with the media in attendance and international investors and tea industry figures expected to be there as usual. Michael took on the role of host, and he was thrilled to have Chloe by his side. You're the soul of this project, he said, his eyes alight with admiration. During one of their final meetings, I want everyone to know that Chloe agreed, and she was thrilled to do so with one condition. I'm thrilled to be here, and I want to be clear that I'm not here to be associated with your past or your mistakes. As long as it's clear my role here was earned on merit, I'm all in. Michael nodded, understanding her resolve, and agreed wholeheartedly. You totally earned this. On the morning of the big event, Chloe arrived bright and early to check the final details. The building looked absolutely flawless, reflecting everything she had envisioned: elegance, functionality, and sustainability. She couldn't stop walking around it, marveling at how perfect it was. As she walked through the halls, she felt a rush of pride and excitement. Michael arrived shortly after, looking absolutely amazing in a suit. He seemed confident, but there was something else in his expression, a hint of vulnerability that made him seem even more intriguing. Chloe couldn't ignore it. As he approached, he asked, "How are you doing?" She was a little nervous, but she replied with a big, bright smile. "You always," he replied with a big, bright smile. "Having you here makes it so much easier." Chloe looked away, eager to avoid the weight of his words. There was something different about Michael that day, a lightness she hadn't seen before, and it was wonderful. The event was going to be absolutely amazing. The event kicked off with rousing speeches and presentations that highlighted the project's cutting-edge aspects in a truly inspiring way. Guess what? Chloe was invited to the stage to share her vision and how she had turned ideas into reality. She was nervous, but as she glanced at the audience, she saw Michael in the front row. His face was absolutely radiant with genuine pride. "This project isn't just about sustainability," she said, her voice ringing with excitement as she concluded her speech. "It's about showing that when we work together and believe in the impact we can make, We can create something truly meaningful, and it's going to be amazing." The audience went wild, cheering and clapping with gusto. But it was Michael's gaze that stayed with her after the presentations, and she couldn't wait to see him again. A reception was held, and Chloe found herself surrounded by people eager to learn more about her work, and she loved every minute of it. She answered every question with patience, but her attention kept drifting to Michael, who was across the room speaking with a group of investors. She was excited to see what he had to say. When she finally had a moment alone, Stella appeared as usual, at the most unexpected time. "Well, Chloe, it seems you've managed to impress, and in a big way." "Way to go. Thank you so much," Chloe replied, her voice bright and cheerful, though. "Oh, Chloe, I'd love to know your thoughts on Michael. Do you think he's really changed? Or is he still playing the same game?" Chloe didn't answer right away, but she was thinking. Stella's tone was brimming with excitement, as if she was eager to embrace the possibility. "It's not your judgment that matters, Chloe," she said at last, her voice brimming with excitement. "It's mine. It's not just that she made me realize I still have doubts. It's so much more than that." Michael was silent for a moment before responding with great enthusiasm. "I totally get it. Honestly, I'd have doubts too if I were in your shoes." As she tried to sort through her feelings, the evening continued, but Chloe's discomfort grew. As the event drew to a close, she felt a strange, indescribable sensation in her chest. It was as if there was a knot there that just wouldn't loosen. Michael walked her to the exit and said, "Thank you so much for everything, Chloe. It was a blast." His voice was filled with the most sincere enthusiasm. "This project wouldn't have been possible without you. Thank you so much." She nodded, and although his words didn't ease her concerns, she was still excited to see what the future held. "Good work, Michael," she said, her voice full of admiration. "But that doesn't mean everything's." Resolved, he smiled, and though there was a touch of sadness in his eyes, he was ready to face whatever the future held. In the days that followed, Chloe was excited to get back to her routine, but she couldn't stop thinking about Michael. He was keeping his promises, and his actions showed he was trying to be better, and he was doing a great job. But Chloe still had to push through her fear of letting herself believe. One morning, Chloe received an unexpected message from Michael. "I want you to see something. Can you come to the building today?" Chloe was filled with curiosity and couldn't wait to respond. She arrived, eager to see what he had to show her. Michael greeted her in the lobby with a big, warm smile. He seemed nervous, which was a rare and intriguing turn of events. "What do you want to show me?" she asked, her eyes alight with curiosity as she crossed her arms. "Come with me," he said, his eyes alight with excitement as he led her to the building's terrace. When they arrived, Chloe was absolutely amazed. The space had been transformed into an absolutely stunning garden with native plants and a relaxation area that looked like something straight out of a dream. "I wanted this project to have something really special," Michael explained excitedly. "Something that represents all the amazing things I've learned working with you." Chloe turned to him, her eyes shining with delight. Still absorbing what she saw, she exclaimed, "This is amazing, Michael. Thank you so much. But this isn't just about the project. It's about you too, Chloe." "That doesn't mean it will be easy," Michael said with a big, bright smile that showed all his hope. "Nothing worthwhile is easy, but it's worth it." Chloe, the partnership between Chloe and Michael seemed stronger than ever. Michael made sure that all the credit went to her, and he was quick to highlight her talent and dedication whenever he had the chance. However, there was still something on her mind. Michael was trying so hard. It was as if he were trying to make up for years of mistakes in just a few weeks. Chloe was excited to find out if this was due to genuine regret or just an attempt to impress her. One day, Michael asked Chloe to accompany him to an exciting meeting with new investors. "I can't wait to present this to you," he said. Chloe was thrilled to accept. The meeting took place in an elegant restaurant, and the investors were influential people interested in supporting more sustainable projects. Chloe presented her ideas with confidence, and Michael watched her with admiration. When the meeting ended, one of the investors made a comment that caught Chloe by surprise. "Michael, you found a real gem. I don't see this passion and authenticity often, but when I do, it's a real treat." Michael beamed and replied, "Absolutely. She's one of a kind." The compliment was genuine, and Chloe felt a rush of excitement. She was eager to be seen, as Michael's discovery, but as someone who had built her own path and made her own way in the world. Later, when they were in the car, Chloe finally spoke up with a sparkle in her eye. "Michael, I really appreciate what you're trying to do, but I want to make something clear. My work and my achievements are my own, Michael. I'm proud of what I've done, and I'm excited to keep going." Michael seemed surprised but quickly nodded with a smile. "I totally get it. I'll make sure everyone knows that." Chloe was thrilled to see that he was taking her comments seriously, which made her feel even more at ease as they focused on wrapping up the project. An unexpected problem arose, but we were ready for it. One of the main suppliers was experiencing a slight delay in the delivery of materials, which presented an exciting challenge for the opening of a new phase of the building. Michael was determined to solve the issue and called an emergency meeting with the whole team. "We absolutely can't let this compromise our deadline," he said with a determined look on his face. "Chloe, I'd love to hear your ideas on how we can get around this." Chloe looked over the reports and came up with a great alternative solution involving a smaller, more reliable local supplier. It might not be the cheapest option, but it's definitely the most efficient. Michael didn't hesitate for a second. "Let's do this." Michael was ready to take on the challenge and deal with the additional cost later. He was in. He made an incredible decision that showed he was putting quality and values above profits. Chloe was blown away by his courage and couldn't help but admire him for it. After the crisis, she was thrilled to see Michael making more consistent changes. He was less concerned with his public image and more focused on ensuring the project's success, and it was incredible to see. Even the smallest gestures showed his transformation. He started showering the team with genuine compliments, making ethical decisions, and even admitting his own mistakes. One evening, as he reviewed the final details of the project, Michael made a confession that left her breathless. "Working with you has made me realize something really important." Chloe looked at him, her eyes alight with curiosity. She had spent years trying to meet everyone else's expectations, and now she was excited to see what he had to say. "My father, my investors, even Stell, they all had high hopes for me. But you, Michael, you never expected anything from me? You just wanted me to be honest with myself, and that's exactly what I'm going to do." Chloe was filled with joy as she listened to his words. "Are you being honest now?" Michael nodded with a small, happy smile. "At last, I think I'm finally being honest." The grand finale of the project was. The night was marked by an incredible event that brought together the most influential figures from various sectors for an unforgettable celebration. Chloe and Michael stood side by side, basking in the compliments and praise for their amazing work. The night felt absolutely perfect, but Chloe couldn't shake the feeling that something was still unresolved in the middle of it all. Michael pulled her aside to a quieter corner. "Chloe, I've got some great news. I've been waiting to tell you for days. I don't know where I'd be without you. You're the best. This project, my growth. It all started because you came into my life and made me see the world in a whole new way." Chloe felt her heart racing with excitement. "Michael, I don't think I know, but I'm excited to find out. I'm so excited to earn your trust." He interrupted, "But more than that, I want you to know how much I admire you. Not just as a professional, but as a person. I admire you so much." Chloe was blown away. His words felt sincere, and she was excited to see where this would lead. When the event wrapped up, Michael escorted her to her car. "Thank you so much for standing by my side tonight," he said, his eyes shining with gratitude. Chloe beamed a shy but meaningful smile. "You're doing great, Michael. But there's still a way to go," he said with a wink. As the car drove away, Chloe glanced at Michael's reflection in the window and was thrilled to see that he was truly trying to change for the first time. She felt that maybe she could believe in him in the days that followed, and she was right. He kept surprising her. He got involved in social projects, supported young entrepreneurs, and funded sustainable initiatives, and he was really making a difference. Chloe could see that he was doing it out of genuine belief, and it was so inspiring to see that he wasn't just trying to impress her. One afternoon while working in her studio, she received an exciting message from Michael. "Come to the building. I want to show you something." When she arrived, she was thrilled to find Michael on the rooftop. He had installed an amazing mural featuring images and stories of people whose lives had been positively impacted by the project. "I thought this would be a great way to do it," he explained excitedly. "To remember why we started this," he explained, his eyes alight with excitement. Chloe's eyes filled with happy tears. "It's incredible, Michael." He looked at her with a big, sincere smile. "Just like you." As Chloe gazed at the mural, she realized she was finally ready to trust him again. The days following the project's final event were a wonderful mix of calm and reflection for Chloe. The building was officially up and running, and it was getting rave reviews from experts in architecture and sustainable design. Her name was now recognized all over the globe. She'd never in her wildest dreams imagined it was possible. Michael, on the other hand, seemed to have a lot on his mind. He was laser-focused on new projects and had a lot of exciting meetings to expand his business. But Chloe knew he was giving her the freedom to make her own decisions while working in her studio, which she loved. In an unexpected but wonderful turn of events, Chloe received an invitation to speak at an international conference on sustainable design. What an amazing opportunity! However, it meant being away for a few weeks before confirming her attendance, which she was thrilled to do. She decided to talk to Michael. She walked through the reception of Carter Enterprises and went straight to his office, eager to speak with him. He seemed genuinely delighted to see her. "Chloe, what a wonderful surprise." "Everything's great." "Absolutely," she replied, her eyes alight with excitement. "I just wanted to tell you something before I make my decision. You should go. It'll be great." Chloe felt a surge of relief at his response. "Thank you so much. I just thought you'd want to know first." Michael nodded with a big smile on his face. "I want you to know I'm rooting for you always, no matter what." The sincerity in his voice took her by surprise, but in a good way. Chloe felt a rush of warmth in her chest, and she was excited to keep it to herself. The trip was a huge, exciting milestone in Chloe's career. She had the incredible opportunity to meet renowned professionals, share her story, and be invited to collaborate with companies from other countries as she spoke about them. Her projects were living proof that Michael's lessons on leadership and vision were right there in everything she did. Let's play a game with those who only read the comments. Guess what? Type pizza in the comments. This is for those who made it this far. You're in for a treat. Now for the best part. Let's continue with the story. Despite her incredible success, there was still a little something missing during those quiet nights in her hotel room. She thought about Michael with a smile on her face. His words, his actions, the way he looked at her was incredible. Chloe was so excited to see Michael again. She decided to go straight to the Carter Enterprises building, eager to see him again. It was late, but she was sure Michael would still be there when she walked into his office. She was thrilled to find him alone, going over reports. Michael looked up from his papers with a big, bright smile. "Chloe, I didn't know you'd be back today. I'm so happy to see you." "I just got here," he said, his eyes alight with excitement. "I really needed to see you," he replied, his eyes bright with excitement. Chloe was absolutely thrilled to see him. Her voice was filled with excitement as she said, "I had an amazing realization while I was away." Michael stayed silent, watching her intently, filled with anticipation. There was something in his eyes that seemed vulnerable, as if he knew this moment was crucial, and he was ready for it. "What is it?" Chloe took a few steps toward him, her eyes bright with excitement as she searched for the perfect words. During this trip, she was thrilled to realize how much he'd changed. She was thrilled to see that he was no longer the arrogant and distant man she'd met. She realized that, no matter how much she tried to fight it, she'd fallen head over heels in love with him. "I love you." The words tumbled out of my mouth in a rush, as if they'd been waiting to be said for the longest time. And it was finally happening. Michael stood still for a few seconds, as if processing everything. But then he took a step forward, closing the distance between us. "Chloe, I've been waiting forever to hear those 3 little words," he said, his voice thick with emotion. She tried to speak, but he continued, gently holding her hands. I fell head over heels for you the moment you came into my life. Everything changed in the best way possible. You made me want to be the best I could be. You inspired me to be a better person. I realized that to be a better person, I needed to build something truly great. Chloe felt her eyes fill with tears, but she looked at him, her eyes shining with happy tears. Michael, I was afraid, but I was also excited to trust, to open up, and to see what the future held. But now I don't want to run without saying another word. Michael leaned in and kissed her. It was an incredible kiss, filled with all the emotion they'd been holding back for so long. At last, they pulled away, their faces alight with the joy of the moment. He beamed at her, his eyes radiant with joy. Chloe, you've transformed me in so many ways. Not just as a businessman, but as a person too. I want to walk by your side, not just today, but always. You're going to be my girlfriend. Chloe laughed, still overwhelmed with emotion, and held his face in her hands. Absolutely, Michael. I'd be thrilled to be your girlfriend. In the months that followed, Chloe and Michael began to build something truly incredible together. A relationship based on trust, respect, and love. It's the best. Michael kept on surprising her with adorable little gestures of affection, while Chloe learned to trust him completely. They were inseparable, and together they started to dream big. In the meantime, Chloe was busy expanding her brand, while Michael was delving into social projects and sustainable initiatives inspired by the values she brought into his life. On a special night during the opening of a new space they had designed together, Michael held Chloe's hand as the crowd applauded them, and it was truly a magical moment. He looked into her eyes and, with an emotional smile, said, "Chloe, you've changed my life in so many amazing ways. I want to build more than just projects with you. I want to build a life with you." Before she could even think, he was down on one knee, opening a small box with a simple but elegant ring. Tears filled Chloe's eyes, but she was overjoyed and didn't hesitate. "Yes, Michael, yes." The wedding was beautiful and meaningful, surrounded only by their closest friends and family. For Chloe and Michael, it was so much more than just the start of a new phase. It was confirmation that true love can be born from the most unexpected places. As they watched the horizon on their honeymoon, they were absolutely thrilled. Chloe felt an incredible sense of peace she had never experienced before. She was ready to take on whatever the future brought, and she was excited for it. She had learned to love and trust, and she was thrilled for what the future held. Was Chloe right to forgive and marry Michael? We think she was. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Rate this story from 0 to 10. We'd love to know what score you would give it. Subscribe to the channel now and hit the bell to keep up with all our amazing stories. And don't forget to check out more exciting stories by clicking here on the end screen.